Hi, I'm Tappy. This video is talking about the combo potential, in particular OTK potential, for the new expansion, Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. I was half expecting there to be very little combo potential at all, because half the traditional ways to enable combos have sort of disappeared, rest in peace. But it turns out there's actually quite a bit, because there's quite a few unique cards which can be used in a couple of unique ways, which is what we're going to delve into in just a little bit. First off though, it appears Blizzard really liked the Mistcall effect because it's given three classes, Hunter, Paladin and Warrior, a lot of cards which buff stuff in the hand. We also have Grime Street Smuggler and Donhan Cho, which works for all three of those classes, which is pretty good. Probably the strongest of these is Charge Paladin. Have loads of cheap charge minions in hand, then you have stuff like Getaway Kodo to double a battle cry, Smuggler's Run, Grime Street Outfitter, Grime Street Enforcer, and the aforementioned Donhan Cho and the Grime Street Smuggler. That's going to be an easy way to get an OTK. A slightly weaker but probably still pretty strong way to get an OTK is Murloc Paladin. So you have all the above plus Grimscale Chum. You've got less charge minions to make it work with, but I suppose if you go with old Murkai in Wild, it's still going to be pretty easy to get an OTK. Then probably the next strongest is Beast Hunter. So this is the way we're going to get new Beast OTKs. There had to be a way, of course. Trog Beast Rager, Shaky Zip Gunner, Hidden Cache, Smuggler's Crate, going to buff the cards in hand. And in particular, this is going to be useful with Dispatch Kodo. If you use that with Bran, then you're sort of getting a triple damage effect if you also use Tundra Rhino. That's pretty much the only way to make it better than just having Tundra Rhino with Young Dragonhawk. Of course, you could just use Young Dragonhawk with all the hand buffy stuff as well. So there's two Beast OTKs I would consider distinct enough to actually be separate. There may be a few more with a few new cards, we'll see. Let's just get this out of the way. Warrior. There's a few ways we can still use Warrior in OTKs, but one of them is a little sad and it's a bit of a dead end, which is Taunt OTKs. You can still use Bolster, Gnome Regard Infantry. You can use the new cards, what is it, Stolen Goods, Donhan Cho for a bit of RNG, then you just Faceless. Quite an easy way to get an OTK, but a bit of a dead end. There is an interesting way to use Warrior, and that involves Grime Street Pawnbrokers and Hobart Grapple Hammer. Buff the hell out of a weapon. Probably Cursed Blade, because that's going to be the funniest thing to smack the opponent in the face with. And then you can basically rely on an 8 attack Cursed Blade at least. Maybe a 9 attack Fury War Axe. Alex Straza, probably the best OTK potential here. Probably the most interesting way to use it. So an Alex Pirate Cursed Blade OTK. Yeah, sounds good. Alternatively, go for broke. Go for Alex Straza and a Cursed Blade which deals 15 attack. That would be slightly insane. I'm going to try it, but there's not going to be an opponent who will actually let me do it. Probably unless I go to unranked and lose a hell of a lot of games. Other than that, that may be it for Warrior, unfortunately. That's an outline of how to use the buffing cards to make OTKs. Let's get on to the more unique stuff. So there's some cards which basically enable specific OTKs in their own right, which are very interesting. Patches the Pirate. This is pretty good for OTKs, particularly Rogue. The easiest one, and probably the most obvious one, is Patches the Pirates Gang Up. So you want 3 cannons on board, then you drop a South Sea deckhand. 3 patches are summoned from your deck, and you've got bloody cannons going everywhere. It's RNG dependent, and it will only deal 30 damage if your enemy's board is empty. Just an RNG OTK. It's possibly possible to do a Pirate Captain OTK. You probably still need cannons to make that viable, but yeah, that's another option. Kun the Forgotten King is interesting. Apologies if that's mispronounced and translate 10 times fast, I dare you. It's interesting when paired with Aviana, because you Aviana then Kun, and suddenly you've got 10 mana and 5 free minion slots. Aviana OTKs have been viable before this expansion. Those OTKs probably all use Double Innovate. You can use Kun in place of Double Innovate when you only need 6 or less minion slots. If you need all 7, obviously you can't. Where it gets really interesting now though, is that all of a sudden you can add expensive spells to the mix. Before we could just have really expensive, heavily discounted minions, and maybe a Savage Roar, if you're lucky. But now we could just have really expensive minions, really expensive spells, and yeah, just go nuts. I haven't really worked anything out yet. I'm sure there are some very interesting things we could do. In the very least, we could have double Savage Roar applied to very expensive charge minions. I don't know what that will get us to. Probably 40 plus damage at least. But that is pushing a hell of a lot of cards used in the combo. Maya Noggin Fogger can possibly be used in an RNG heavy, admittedly, OTK, using Kun the Forgotten King. So you Aviana, Kun, Maya, Ice Howl Faceless, maybe all 3 Ice Howls will hit the opponent's face. It's not very likely. I'm going to tear my hair and possibly eyes out trying to do this one, because I believe you need to have an enemy minion on board to actually attack with Ice Howl. I'm not entirely sure how Man Noggenfogger works. Maybe Ice Howl can attack even if there's no valid targets. I doubt it, but we'll see. Probably the most flexible, unique new card in the set is Razavachained. Chained. Makes your hero power cost 0. What makes it viable for OTK purposes is that it doesn't just apply to your existing hero power, it applies to, if you change your hero power, say with Sir Finley or Shadow Form, it will also apply to that hero power. And also, because Sir Finley and Shadow Form refresh the hero power, you can use it again right away. Garrison Commander means you can use your hero power twice. Crypt did a video a few days ago, for me, for you it's probably a week ago, whereby he used Spawn of Shadows, Garrison Commander, Sir Finley and Shadow Form, so a 10 mana 4 card combo, no need for Thorson, and it dealt between 28 and 32 damage, depending on which hero power you got with Sir Finley. The only problem with Crypt's version of the OTK is that you deal quite a lot of damage to yourself. You're changing your hero power from one which heals you to one which doesn't heal you. Maybe you get some armor with Armor Up or Druid's hero power, whatever the hell that's called. There are other possibilities. Spawn of Shadows with Auction Master Beardo, Garrison Commander and 3 spells. Now these 3 spells, one has to be Holy Smite and the other 2 cost 0. They could be Circle of Healing, Silence, Forbidden Shaping, for all I care. Doesn't really matter. This deals 34 damage guaranteed, but you can also heal yourself every time. So you can heal for 16 if you do not use Justicar, or you can heal for 32, so basically negating all the damage you get with Spawn of Shadows, which is pretty nice, and it's 6 cards and still doesn't require Thorson. Another form of this OTK, which I actually like probably the most because it's the most well themed, is Spawn of Shadows, Garrison Commander, Double Shadow Form. This is 12 mana combo, so you need Thorson. It deals 34 damage guaranteed, and the reason I like it so much, well, it's basically the ultimate Shadow Priest OTK. 3 out of 4 cards say Shadow. I mean, come on. We can try and eliminate Garrison Commander. In doing so, we would add a Spawn of Shadows, so we're adding more mana, but it only does 29 damage, which is a bit unfortunate, so we'd have to add a Holy Smite. So that's about it for Razavachained as Priest, I think. Maybe there's something else that I've forgotten about or haven't thought about yet. For other classes, Razavachained could be used. Mage in particular, in Wild, you got Caldara Drake, steal Razavachained with Cabal Courier, and go nuts. That's broken as hell. I mean, that's properly broken as hell. It's in Wild, so hopefully they ignore it. But, yeah, that could get nerfed at some point. Fun as hell, though. I'm going to do that for sure. Warlock, I don't know. The only other one I can think of so far is as a rogue. And that's only if you can steal Cabal Courier with rogue steal mechanics from a mage or a priest. I'm not sure how they categorise Cabal Courier. Maybe it's its own separate little class. If not, though, if you can steal it from a mage or a priest, you need Razavachained, Caldara Drake, and Poison Blade. And, yep, you just Poison Blade your way to victory. You're using one of the worst cards in the game, and you're using 3 classes cards in an OTK. That would be absolutely awesome if you could do that. Probably one of the first ones I'm going to try. So I touched on using Cabal Courier as a mage to get a priest card. You can do a similar thing with priest to get a mage or warlock card, and warlock to get a mage or priest card. Similarly, you can use Lotus Agent to get a Druid, Rogue or Shaman card as a Druid, Rogue or Shaman, and Grime Street Informant to get a Hunter, Paladin or Warrior card as a Hunter, Paladin or Warrior. There's 2 main things to consider with this. A, either you can, as a mage, get another mage card so you can break the 2 overall. You can do this for any class. B, more importantly, you can semi-reliably steal at least 1 card from one of the other 2 classes in your group. There is a lot of potential here, but it's going to take some thought. For now, I gave Raza as an example, and another example would be getting Doomhammer as Druid. So we already have the Blingtron OTK on this channel. It would be a lot easier to acquire Doomhammer via 2 Lotus Agents with Bran Bronzebeard than it was by bloody Blingtron. So, yeah, watch this space, basically. There could be a lot of cool stuff happening. Cabal Trafficker is awesome, in my opinion. Just in general, not really for OTKs, but that's going right in my Wild Demon deck for sure. For OTKs, you can actually do some OTKs with it. You use it in the preparation steps. Basically, acquire as many Doom Guards as you can in your hand. You need at least 4 for an OTK. So, get 4 Doom Guard in hand, Mal'Ganis in hand as well. Then when you crawl on the OTK turn, that's 28 damage right there, so you just need to get 2 more damage from somewhere. Alternatively, if you get 5 Doomguard in hand and Mal'Ganis, then Cruel the Unshackled will allow you to deal 35 damage, which is pretty damn good. Otherwise, 6 Doomguard, obviously 30 damage. Pretty strong, but there's not a lot of scope beyond that. So that's most of my thoughts aired about this expansion for OTK purposes, but there's a few more floating about. So, Kazakus, we could get an OTK out of it. I haven't had the time to play around with it. There's potential. We are either going to double up an awesome 5 mana spell. It would have to be pretty damn awesome though, because even when we get Thorson involved, that's still 8 mana right there. Alternatively, and more likely, we go the cheap route, double up the 1 mana spells, or maybe double up that as well with Youthful Brewmaster to get 4 custom 1 mana spells, and probably Flame Waker is involved there as well. Gadgetzan Freyaman is mildly interesting, but only in cases where we either already are using double Shadow Step, double Youthful Brewmaster in an OTK, and we want even more, or we're using Youthful Brewmaster or Shadow Steps in the preparation step, and we haven't got enough to actually use in the OTK. Well, the obvious one is a Southsea Deckhand OTK with double Freyaman, double Youthful, double Shadow Step, and probably a cannon or 2. Who knows? I'll have a look, see if I can find anything better. I probably should mention a 2-turn kill with Finge the Flying Star. So you drop him as a shaman on 1 turn. He survives because he has 4 health and stealth. And next turn you give him Wind Fury. He kills 2 opponent's minions. And suddenly you have a board full of charging Murlocs. That could be fun. I'll probably try that at some point. But, well, might be quite hard to actually pull that off, who knows. Lastly, I guess, Draconid Operative for Priest. It's a more targeted way for them to steal another class's cards, but as they have to be in the opponent's deck, there's less potential for OTKs, unless you are lucky enough to be in a situation where a card you need for an OTK is part of the meta. Rogue has it a bit better with Shaku the Collector, because it's just another way for them to steal a random opponent class card. It's not very good. There's already much better ways to do this. It's mainly a card to bolster the steel deck instead of a steel OTK. And Manic Soulcaster. You can break the 2 of rule for minions with Mage. Pretty weak. Maybe there's a use for it. Plenty of ways to do that already. That about sums up my thoughts. If I've missed anything big, or even just missed anything small, let me know in the comments. Maybe there's some awesome combo I've not thought about yet. That would be sweet. Check out this awesome new feature, end cards. Finally at a beta, so we can actually all use them. There's a couple of videos here. There's a link to subscribe if you want, and there's a link to my second channel, Tappy, which basically just has Isaac on it at the minute. It's going to have more stuff eventually. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.